So October 7th, 2023 was my freshman year at UCLA. UCLA starts in late September. So I only experienced around 2 weeks of college before October 7th happens. I don't really remember much about what college was like before October 7th.
UCLA kid stands up to...
Yeah, you've seen the headlines. UCLA student, schools, professor, and I'm just like, what is going on? I went to class afterwards. And next thing you know, people I know from across the country are sending me this video. And I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that's blowing up. Bravery means you're not experiencing fear. You know, you're going in guns blazing because you don't experience fear. Most people do experience fear, and that's fine. I've experienced fear many times. I've talked about it today.
Welcome back to Show and Teller. As I like to start off every episode, why do we do what we do? Why are we here? Show and Teller is existing because we want to bring in guests, people who are pushing the envelope, people who have a story, people who have overcome something, people who have courage, people who are standing up for what they believe in. And today's guest, no joke, I saw this person online and I was like, this person needs to be on our podcast now. So I think I honestly reached out to him 5 months ago, but he's a pretty busy guy. And he's like, Rabbi, be in touch with me in January. It's February 2026. And I have the guest that I wanted on the show. So who's our guest today? No other than Eli Tivis. I said that right. And Eli, he's going to get into a story, but Eli is known for more than just what I'm about to say. He's got a whole story and he's going to share with us. And I want to understand his history and how he got to where he got to today. But Eli, I want to say a year to 2 years ago, we don't know the exact timeline exactly, but he stood up for what he believed in. I've never seen an act of courage like what I saw Eli do. In the face of adversity, in the face of people getting in his face, and he didn't have, maybe he had fear, but I didn't see it. And he was an ambassador for who we are as a Jewish people. So I'll let him get into that a little bit more. But without further ado, Eli Tsives, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Rabbi. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you being here, taking time out of your busy schedule, schlepping all the way from UCLA to come to downtown LA to do this show. And maybe she could just jump right into it. What happened post October 7th in your world?
So October 7th, 2023 was my freshman year at UCLA. UCLA starts in late September. So I only experienced around 2 weeks of college before October 7th happens. I don't really remember much about what college was like before October 7th. A few days after October 7th, Students Justice for Palestine, a very anti-Semitic organization, started marching around campus with Palestinian flags, chanting anti-Zionist slogans, which we all know are disguised for anti-Semitism. And one thing I noticed was there wasn't enough pro-Israel voices countering their anti-Semitism. So I went and got an Israeli flag the time of their very first protest. And I stood.
How many days after October 7th was this?
This was October 12th.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, October 12th.
And there were seas of people in the UCLA Bruin quad, basically.
The Bruin Plaza, this is before the encampment, right? The encampment happened in April 2024.
Okay.
So we're talking a few days after October 7th. SJP has their first protest. And there's just no pro-Israel voices there whatsoever. So I grabbed my flag and I stood there holding it. It wasn't to piss off the protesters. I had no intentions of pissing them off or frankly trying to change their minds because, and we'll get into that, a lot of their minds unfortunately can't be changed. But it was to show other Jewish students and Jewish faculty that there's no need to be afraid of them, and that we need to be proud of who we are and stand up for our culture and heritage. And as I did that, as I held that flag up, people would walk up to me.
Were you the only one?
At first, yes. People would walk up to me and say, hey, I just want to thank you. I would not be standing there, and I'm not going to stand there with you, but thank you for doing that. And they would move on with their day. And some people would walk up and they would join me. And one by one, we would have a bigger crowd of people. And towards the end, we had around 10, 15 people there. That's the message that I have tried to show that day, and that I will continue trying to teach all of my fellow Jews, that we just have to be proud of who we are. And we have to stand up for who we are and show other Jews that there's no need to be afraid.
Okay, so that was October 12th, more or less, 2023.
That was the beginning of it all at UCLA.
And were you doing this every day in between classes, or what was this? Did you have a schedule, or what was...
I'm a busy student. Unlike them who, I like to think they all skip classes, or most of them are just not even students to that point, or just paid protesters. I actually have a busy schedule. So I would do it when I can. They would protest a few times, a few times a month maybe.
And then there was a climactic.
Well, the climax, we can get into that.
I mean, we can build to there, but I want to kind of get to the climax first.
Okay.
And then we'll go back to your story, and then we'll hit back.
So people understand the climax.
Yeah. So people know why you're here and why I asked you to be here. So,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm asking you to be here because I saw something.
Absolutely. So the climax is very simple. April of 2024, UCLA actually started in the East Coast. Encampment started around the
Columbia.
Columbia was one of the first. Vanderbilt had one. All these massive institutions start having these huge anti-Semitic encampments.
And what was happening in April in 2024 that led to these encampments, to give our viewership? What created the encampments to almost kind of kickstart?
It was a massive organized movement on the pro-Palestinian side. This wasn't something that every school just, coincidentally decided to do at one point. They all talked about it.
But why April? Why April of 2024? Was something happening in the world at that time?
That's an excellent question. I mean, this was already the height of Israel's
was something on with it? Was it the Rafah Accord, or I don't remember exactly myself.
Oh my gosh! No one's ever asked me why specifically April. I feel like Rafah happened way before.
Okay.
So I feel. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure Rafah happened before.
Maybe it's not that big of a deal.
I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest. I think they chose April because
something was going on.
That's when they wanted to do it. Point is, they did it. And what it was a massive encampment in a significant part of campus where they blocked people from accessing multiple parts of campus, because they said, if you're not part of us, if you're not part of our group, you cannot go inside.
Taking law into their own hands, essentially.
Exactly. Completely disregarding, frankly, federal law, civil rights acts, and everything that literally does not allow them to do what they were doing. School code of conduct. From the highest law of the land to the lowest UCLA, code of conduct, everything prohibits them from making an encampment, and they still did it. And when UCLA's encampment went up, I remember waking up to helicopters flying around the school. And I knew right away, I'm like, helicopters, news media, great, we have an encampment. USC got their encampment like a few days before. It spread to the West Coast. So I called up my friends and I was like, yo, guys, let's get our Israeli flags. Let's go protest. Let's go show Jewish students that there's no need to be afraid. Let's show the Jewish chutzpah, And they all said, Eli, not a good idea. What if it's dangerous? What if a professor or a TA sees me and, gives me a bad grade? And I said, you know what? Fine. You guys don't want to do it. You don't have to do it. I'm going to do it myself. So I did. I was at the right place at the right time. I put up my flag, and a woman who claimed to be a professor walks up and starts arguing with me. And many of you have seen that video.
You seem to be standing on some kind of
I was standing on an elevated platform.
She comes in, and you had it seemed like your flag was tied around your...
I think I was holding it, actually. I was holding the flag, and she starts arguing with me, debating me. And I just very calmly responded her with very simple facts that high schoolers know. This wasn't anything complicated. I wasn't trying to, gotcha to her. I was just answering her questions and stating...
Do you remember some of her questions?
She was claiming that there's a genocide. I was explaining to her that how could there be a genocide if the population of the Palestinian people are, significantly increasing day by day. I was explaining to her that a genocide means there needs to be intent. The Israeli government has absolutely zero intent to massacre the Palestinian people. If they wanted to, they could do it in 1 hour and have an appetite for tea afterwards. We don't do that. We're good people. And I'm explaining this to her, and she starts becoming hysterical, and she starts crying, and she leaves. But by the time she started crying, local news media started picking it up, and next thing you know, I have all these cameras on me, and after she left, I start getting interviewed from, local Fox channel, all of these local, Sky News was there, and all of these local channels, and that starts spreading. And next thing you know, I have people...
UCLA kid stands up to...
Yeah, you've seen the headlines. UCLA student, schools, professor. And I'm just like, what is going on? I went to class afterwards. And next thing you know, people I know from across the country are sending me this video. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that's blowing up. And my Instagram was still private at that time. And I start seeing I'm getting these hundreds of friend requests on Instagram, follow requests. And I was like, okay, let's just see what happens if I make my Instagram public. And I did. And within 2 hours, I double in followers. I was 1,000, now I'm 2,000 followers. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, interesting. I don't know what's going on, but whatever. And I start making videos, nothing too crazy. Another video, I think I went to the encampment Friday night to try and enter the encampment. This wasn't the famous video, but it was another one that got hundreds of thousands of views, and my followership is just going up for some reason. And then Sunday morning, there was a massive Israel rally on campus. Biggest pro-Israel rally UCLA has ever seen. And I was asked to do a speech there. The speech was quite successful. We rallied hundreds of people, and that speech goes viral. And then the following day, Monday, I go to class. And that was the video that everyone has seen. It got 8.9 million views on my Instagram, over 20 million views on different platforms combined.
Remind me which video that is.
This was the video of me being denied access to go to class.
The one you couldn't walk through.
The encampment, it spread apart and went. So they were in Royce, Plaza. But they spread 100 meters to the left and 100 meters to the right, actually starting to block access, walkways to get to class. And I couldn't go to the specific class that I wanted to through the entrance that I wanted to. And they're like, go around. They're telling me, why should I go around?
And did they say, because you're Jewish?
Oh, no. They never said that because you're Jewish. They would never do that. They're not that stupid, actually.
So what did they say to you? They just said, unless you're with us, you can't go through.
They said you're not allowed to come in. So when I realized what was going on, I passed the phone to my friend. I'm like, film this. And then you see the video of me showing my Bruin card and being like, I'm a student at UCLA. I'm trying to enter. And they're not letting me in. And I put my hands up and I try to enter. And they create their human chain to ensure that I can't get in. And you got to ask yourself, I wasn't wearing any pro-Israel merch. I didn't have these shoes on. I didn't have my Jew forces on. All I had was a Star of David necklace. That's it.
You weren't, it wasn't that far.
I wasn't wearing any flags, nothing. All I had was a Star of David necklace. And I was not the only Jewish student this happened to.
Were they targeting Jews?
Absolutely. In fact, we did a lot of research on the encampment months and months after, and there are lawsuits going on and investigations still going on. And what we realized is these encampments, they had a blacklist. People whose names they had, and you would have to give your name, then you have to show them your ID to enter. They'd make sure you're not on the blacklist. They'd give you a wristband. There was a whole wristband system.
So for context, what ended up, to keep it PG, politically correct, but what ended up disbanding the encampments?
So my video was one of the many reasons why things started blowing up after, because following my video Tuesday evening, there was it's hard to describe. There was a bunch of people came and had a scruffle with the people inside the encampment.
I remember that.
You remember that day. I didn't want to go there. I was not planning to go there. I know there's places you can be and there's places you shouldn't be. You know, that was one of those places. Wrong place, wrong time. Don't go there. Not worth it for me.
Your voice was going to be heard in other places, or your message was going to be...
I don't promote fighting. Right. There are ways to fight them without violence. Now, if somebody attacks you and punches you in the face, absolutely put them on the ground. Absolutely. I think every Jew should do self-defense. Knock them out if they touch you first. But don't be the first one. Don't be the aggravator. So I wasn't planning to go there that night. But Fox News National was like, yo, can you go and report back at like 3 a.m.? We'll put you on Fox and Friends, 3 a.m. So it's, 6 a.m. in the East Coast. So I'm like, fine. So I was there at like 2 in the morning at UCLA, or 1 in the morning, watching it all go down with my own eyes. It was wild. Fireworks being thrown, people getting into brawls with each other. The police came in, but only to disperse. They didn't come in to take down the encampment, just to disperse. They didn't have enough cops at that moment. So I went, I reported everything back on Fox News. The day after, though, Wednesday, that was probably the scariest time at UCLA. That was the only time I felt true fear. Because imagine 3,000 people, 2,000, 3,000, and once your number is that high, you can't really tell the difference, draped in keffiyehs, most of them not UCLA students.
Meaning like they promoted.
Meaning
they got their people from not on campus to come.
Yes, these are people from the hood of LA pulling up just to cause ruckus because they hate Jews. And I was walking there by myself. This is, Wednesday afternoon, going into evening, late afternoon.
In the encampment?
No, like outside of the encampment. Mm-hmm. Cops were already lining up to take down the encampment. Everyone knew it was going to go down that night. That's why they invited so many, pro-pallies to come there and fight the cops. And I was there with an Israeli armband, like an Israel flag armband. I had this guy walk up to me, and he's like, yo, bro, you're that Zionist, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, let's just go behind that building, and let's just go at it. And I'm like, bro, like who do you think you are? Like, we're not doing that. Like, stop it. I like stared him down, and I walked away. But I knew damn well it was not going to end well for anyone that night. The situation would have played out very simply. Either I would have gotten beat up, end of story, or he would have gotten beat up, and then I would have gotten beat up.
Either
way, I was going to lose. Don't be a hero in that situation. I was by myself against a few thousand people. I left.
Are your parents calling you during this?
During that time, it was scary. I got death threats. I had people find my dorm room and write hateful messages on my dorm door. I had somebody connect to my Apple HomePod. I don't know how they did this. I guess because it's connected to the public Wi-Fi, everyone could connect to my speaker in my dorm. And they connect to my speaker at like 4 a.m. They blast Palestinian music. And it woke up me and my 2 roommates, and we were all very confused what was going on. And then I realized what was going on, but by the time I left my dorm to check, they ran away. I caught someone once writing something on my dorm room. I chased after them up the stairs and caught them. And this is a story I've never told anyone. I caught them. And then instead of being mean, I sat them down. For the next 30 minutes, we had a heart-to-heart conversation. I got this man to cry. I got this man to cry and reflect.
He's a student at UCLA.
Yeah, and reflect on his actions. I asked him, why are you doing this? You don't even know who I am. You hear these things about me, but let's talk man to man, human to human. And we connected on a human level. I had this man in tears. If you connect with people on a human level, you can really change somebody. But you're not going to change anyone when you're talking to a group of protesters when they're all riled up. That won't happen. But if you pull somebody aside in a safe environment and you talk to them, you could change somebody.
Wow. So, Eli, how many months of this frenetic, frantic lifestyle were you living?
Since the encampment, that's when everything really went crazy, because that's when I went viral on social media.
And what is that like to be a normal guy? And I'm asking you to speak about yourself.
Yes.
So you can be humble, but at the same time, I'm asking you to speak about it. So what is that like to just be a normal guy, standing up for what you believe in, and then all of a sudden you become this viral person with hundreds of thousands of followers?
Not hundreds of thousands yet.
Okay. Millions of views, we'll say. People, over 1 million eyes saw several videos, and you're now the guy who just wanted to go to class, and now you're an ambassador for the Jewish people. How did that make you feel? Was it hard? Was it difficult? Was it, I didn't ask for this? Actually, I kind of like the attention, like all the above. What did you
all of the above. Absolutely, it was all of the above. I can't say I didn't ask for it, because if I didn't ask for it, I would have kept my social media private, and I would have never gone on national TV dozens of times, right? I did ask for it, but I was doing it because I believed that I could make the world a better place. I still believe that. Me going out there and speaking to millions of viewers on Fox, on NBC, on Sky News, I'm reaching a different type of audience. When I post something on social media, that's me talking to my echo chamber, right? Those are 90% Jewish followers I have. But if I'm on Fox Primetime and I have 5 million people tuned in, most of them are not Jewish. So I was not prepared per se. I was 19.
How old are you now?
I'm 20. I'm not even much older. I'll be 21 in a few weeks.
You're not even legal.
I will be 21 in a few weeks.
Wow.
I will be legal soon. But I had a lot to learn. I met a bunch of amazing people that had to teach me who to talk to, who not to talk to. When a journalist reaches out, how to respond to them. I've made mistakes before, and those mistakes have cost me a lot.
Like what?
Quite recently, I talked to a journalist. This would have been middle of sophomore year, so middle of last year. And he started off all nice and friendly. And next thing you know, he's asking very targeting questions. But you see, Rabbi, at that point, sophomore year, the school year after I went viral, was the peak of my ego, the peak of my pride, and I wasn't going to let some reporter try and, put me down. I thought I was smarter than him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, my parents were like, don't talk to him anymore. I'm like, no, I'm still going to talk to him. I'm still going to answer his questions. Fine. I'll outsmart this reporter. And what ended up happening is last quarter, the article was finally published. It's just a heinous article. Horrific. Mean. He almost, actually, this got serious. I had to contact the publicist to say, absolutely not, you're not publishing that piece of information, because he was about to talk about my mother. Who mentioned someone's mother? Like, this is dirty, evil journalism for, by the way, a Jewish magazine. We're talking one of those, I call them fake Jews. I mean, a Jew's a Jew is a Jew, but like, you know what I mean. These are Jews that are so anti-Zionist. They're practically, they are self-hating Jews. That is what they are. This was for a self-hating Jewish journal.
So what are some of the bigger lessons that you've learned in the last, from being a young 19-year-old to now 20-year-old, you've had to grow up pretty quickly in the last year and a half. What are some lessons that you've learned? And is it everything that you expected and more? Do you have any regrets? I asked you a lot of questions right there, but
The biggest lesson I learned is try and be humble. I made that mistake. I wasn't humble last year. That's the truth. You know, I had, you know, going viral on social media, you start hanging out with all of these cool people, you start meeting all of these celebrities, start going to all of these cool parties with celebrities. For a 19-year-old who was raised in the suburbs, like that's like a pretty massive jump.
You were a movie star overnight. Lahavdil, Kilu. But yes, you became a star.
In the Jewish community, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And this last summer, I went to Marine Corps officer school.
Wow.
And I was very, very happy that I'm choosing to go down this path, because this summer was the most humbling summer I've ever had.
What was the impetus to make you want to go that route?
I've always wanted to serve the United States. I mean, this country has done so much for my family. My family are immigrants. My mom came from Latvia. My dad came from Belarus. This country took them in. They didn't have to, but they did. And I want to give back. And I want to give back in the most, that I think, meaningful way. And that's the United States Marine Corps. So this summer was, 6 weeks of just drill instructors yelling in your face, saying that you don't matter and no one cares about you in this world. And that does something to you, right? They break you down and then they rebuild you as a new person. And when I got out of Marine Corps training, I was like, they're kind of right. If I cease to exist one day, nothing changes. So might as well, actually actively contribute something in this world instead of living with this, ego bliss, thinking that you're the shit, but you're not actually doing anything or accomplishing much. So that's the path I'm going down. I'm going to serve in the Marine Corps after college.
You are going?
Absolutely. Well, that's why I went this summer. Otherwise,
this was just a
Well, no,
teaser.
So this is not even. So to become a Marine Corps officer, you have to go through officer school. That's 12 weeks divided into 2 summers. So I completed the first summer. I have a second summer coming up. And then I commission after college.
So physically, emotionally, psychologically, they broke you down.
Yes. They made me cry. And I'm very open about that. There was 2 or 3 times there that I was just in tears. Because and people don't understand this. People will listen to this and they will laugh. Try it yourself. I mean, and you can drop. That's the difference between boot camp and officer school. Boot camp, you sign your contract, you can't quit. Officer school, you can quit. They want you to quit. They don't want an officer who doesn't want to be an officer. We had 50% of our platoon quit. We started with 60, we ended with 30 guys. I saw guys bigger, stronger than me, all quit. So
because they had mentally,
it's all mental. Now, physically, it's really, really freaking hard. Physically, I'm in shape to do it. Mentally is what I was not prepared for.
So they had you in tears, and you're on the brink and saying, "Can I do this? Can I push through this?"
I never once even considered quitting. I'll tell you that honestly, because I went in there with the mindset of, if I come home because I quit, I am a failure.
And I can't live with myself.
I will not be able to live with myself. My parents never wanted me to do this. My grandparents were supportive, but my parents absolutely did not want me joining the Marine Corps. So I knew for a fact I'm going to prove them wrong. I will do this. I will be successful in it. So graduation was a very
emotional,
very happy moment. Absolutely. Very emotional.
So you have one more summer of this.
One more summer. It's going to be a little different. It'll be mentally significantly easier just because I know exactly what to expect. Physically, it'll be harder, but like I said, I'm not worried about the physicality of it. I'm quite excited. I'm looking forward to the summer. Let's just get the 6 weeks over with.
Amazing.
And let's become an officer afterwards.
And is the goal like you want to be in the Marine Corps as like a full-time job?
Absolutely not. No. I have full respect for people who want to do it as a career. I want to do my service. and stay in the reserves, and then pursue hopefully a political career. That has been a dream of mine from a very young age, is to go into politics and, find the best way to change this country in a good and positive way.
What's your major?
Political science and Chinese.
Political science and Chinese. Those don't seem to correlate so much.
Well, I lived in China for 4 years.
What?
Yeah, a little shocking piece of information. When I was 10, I moved to Shanghai, lived in Shanghai for 4 years, was part of Chabad, had my bar mitzvah in Shanghai.
Why did you end up in
my
Shanghai?
mother's job? So we were just sent there. And it was a
Are
good
you an only
time.
child?
No, I have a younger sister.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a great time. Me and my sister were very blessed to have been given that opportunity. I encourage everyone to live abroad for some part of their life. And, when people have kids, I also encourage you guys to give your kids an opportunity to live abroad. I know I will give my kids an opportunity to live abroad. It builds so much character. I traveled so many countries in Asia. I've seen so many different type of cultures. I've seen things people can't even imagine. See how people live in the world they have nothing and they're so happy. And here we have such a materialistic society and, when can we get the next phone and the next watch and the next car? Over there, people are living, winter to winter. It was amazing opportunity.
You spoke the language?
I do speak the language, proficiently, not fluently, but well enough to converse.
What do you think is the biggest thing that you learned in those 4 years in your life? I mean, I don't know if you can be so existential and be so self-aware, but looking back at it, what from 10 to age 14, what did that experience give you in life?
A well-rounded individual has to be cultured. They have to understand culture, and they have to understand how people live outside of their town, outside of their state, outside of their country, outside of their continent. It's a completely different life across the world. And the fact that I've experienced so many different cultures, when I converse with people that are from those places, it's so easy for me to connect with them. Oh, you're from Thailand? Phuket? I spent 2 weeks there. Oh, you're from Indonesia? Lombok? I had a great time there, right? You're from Myanmar? My favorite country in Southeast Asia. I was there right before the Civil War happened.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing. I don't have the words to describe how important it is to travel. If you have a choice between traveling or buying some materialistic object, go travel. You learn so much.
So you said that you are a political science major and you want to be a politician. What would you change in our society as a 20-year-old budding leader? What are some things that you would like to see become implemented in this world? And if you had the money, had the resources, what would be some of those things that you would have?
Well, we'll start with something that's quite simple, is the United States is falling behind on education. I mean, we can't even compete to countries like China. It's not even a competition. You see what 7-year-old Chinese kids are doing in school and you compare it to a 7-year-old American? What? We are falling behind. So that's the thing that I think every American could easily get behind on, is significantly increasing the education level in our country. Education is controlled by the states. I'm not saying we have to change that, but I'm saying the states have to, bump it up a notch. I also think this country's too politically divided. We need a young, moderate candidate that can bring the both sides of the aisle, back together. There's plenty of young candidates. They're not moderate, though. That's the problem. They're either far left or far right. And all of the moderates are in their 80s. That's what I want to do. I want to come in there with a common sense of mind and just say, hey, listen, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Let's find a compromise. This country was built on compromise. Have we forgotten how to compromise? We have. I spent last quarter living in D.C. I did an intern for the National Security Institute. It was an amazing opportunity. Got to do a lot of research on Russia and China and work with the Hill and work with NATO defense attaches, and it was a phenomenal experience. But I had a professor. We also took one class there, and I had a professor who was Nancy Pelosi's chief of staff during her first tenureship as Speaker of the House. He was a staffer for 35 years on the Hill. Smartest professor I've ever had. Professor Lawrence, smart guy, moderate Democrat. This man's in his 70s though, you know? And he would say beautiful, beautiful things in class. Things that people that can lean a little bit to the right could still, agree with. But I'm looking at my class, which is mostly, young, very, very, very progressive students that are disagreeing with a man that is in their own party. I'm like, guys, this is a man of common sense. So, I'm sorry I got a little derailed. You sparked me back into my
I asked
my
you.
political comfort zone. But the point is bringing people back together. In one sentence, bringing people back together.
So how do you do that?
It comes down to human connections. You're a Republican. You're a Democrat. Let's see what we have in common. Oh, you both like playing baseball. Let's go play baseball. Let's go do the fun things that we did as children before politics separated us. Why have I lost, Rabbi, so many friends for political disagreements? And I'm not talking about Israel or the Middle East. I'm talking about political disagreements within this country. Like I said, I'm practically a centrist. There should be no reason why somebody is like, oh, your opinions are so radical and mine, so different than mine, I don't want to be friends with you. Really? My opinions are different than yours? Look at them the other side. We're falling down a really problematic path. And if we don't come back to what this country was, 30 years ago, where people could make jokes about each other during a presidential debate and still, have an appetite to have tea with their opponent, then I don't know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen to the Jewish people?
The Jewish people have survived for thousands of years, and we will continue to survive. Of course, when a country becomes not stable, a lot of the times they like to turn their blame onto the Jewish people. And that's when we take the shit for it, right? It was very easy in 1933 for Hitler to come to power. Germany was going through an economic crisis. Let's blame it on the Jews. Everyone can get behind that. And we're seeing the same stuff happening right now. The Republican Party is split in two. You have your MAGA and you have your America First. MAGA is going to die out because Trump is not going to be president forever. And whoever his predecessor is going to realistically have their own new slogan. And MAGA will die out. It'll be in the history books, whatever. But America First is an undying movement. Mm-hmm. There is not a single person who represents America First. But it's a very dangerous movement. It's an isolationist movement. It's a white nationalist movement. It's a movement that hurts Jews. It's a movement that hurts all of our allies, the United States' allies. And unfortunately, because the Republican Party is in a civil war right now, they're not able to, take control of themselves. And Democrats have something very similar that's going on as well. They're the party of inclusivity. But why are we including communists, socialists? No, seriously, it's like, why are we including people that are anti the entire idea of what this country is? A country that was built on capitalism that will succeed with capitalism. Right? So these two parties are absolutely, at war with each other and at war with themselves. And us Jews were kind of just in the middle of it all. But what I tell people this, and I'll finish off this thought, is it doesn't matter whether you are a left-leaning Jew or a right-leaning Jew. What matters is you spend your time working with the party you identify with in hopes of ensuring that that party will remain in support of the Jewish people and in support of our Jewish homeland of the state of Israel. It's quite simple. I don't think Jews should be like, oh, the Democratic Party is so, unattractive right now, but I can't be a Republican, so I'm just going to, not vote in the Democratic primaries. I'm going to become an independent. No, stay with the party that you historically identify with and work to ensure that that party goes back to how you want it to look like.
So when are we going to have Eli, when's the slogan? Eli 2030?
Making dreams a reality.
There you go. I like that.
2052.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yes.
You watched the commercials?
You're going to ask me about the Jewish commercial?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? For those who don't know, there was a Jewish commercial of a kid who was walking down in school, and he opened up his locker, and there was a Post-it note that
was
said,
like on his backpack. Somebody slapped him on the back.
Dirty Jew.
And says dirty Jew, and this tall black student walks up and goes, hey, don't worry, buddy. And he puts a blue, the end Jew hatred.
Implying that the black person understands what it's like to be racially profiled. And
not just implying that, but implying that us Jews need help from somebody else.
Correct.
To stand up for ourselves.
So that commercial has received
a lot of backlash, flack, and people have said that this is not the light that the Jewish people should be represented. And curious to hear your thoughts as to, did you think the message was good? Do you think that it could have been done differently? People compared the commercial to Bad Bunny, and at least Bad Bunny was out there dancing at the halftime show, being proud that he's Puerto Rican, and that shows pride in a much happier way, as opposed to being fearful that you're Jewish because of this whole dirty Jew thing. And curious to understand if you have any thoughts on that. I mean, it was not a good commercial. I think most Jews could agree with that. I would have much rather seen Jews. He gets that, say, it starts the same, right? Dirty Jew. And instead he decides, and, he starts going, he works out or something, and he goes and joins the United States Marine Corps. Boom. Jews also serve this country. No, but I'm not talking about myself. I'm just saying, that would be a cool,
or stand up in Bruin Plaza
just find another way of service. I've seen AI remakes, or he goes to med school and saves somebody, and then saves the life of the same person. Have you seen this AI remake?
No, I didn't see it.
He goes to med school, and then he does surgery on the bully who put that sticker on him. That would have been an insane commercial.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. What's his name? Robert Kraft? Something, right?
Robert Kraft, owner of
the Patriots. Amazing guy. He's in his 80s. His mentality to fight anti-Semitism is very different than you and I's, right? He still has that, like my grandmother. She's like, oh, we have to, education and blah blah blah. And education is important and everything, but what about the Jewish chutzpah? What happened to that? Right.
And I think that's the misnomer, the misconception of Judaism is that, and no offense to, but I think the Jew at times has been viewed as Woody Allen, this nerdy guy, can't stand up for himself, a little bit neurotic. But then we hear about Eli, or people who fight in the IDF, people who are defenders of being Jewish, people who are ready to fight, people who are ready to stand up for what they believe in, not get picked on, not get bullied. And I think with as smart as we are as Jews, we're great CEOs, great CFOs. We run Fortune 400 companies. We're very smart. However, though, it baffles my mind that as Jews, we're not getting the marketing down exactly right. I think we could market ourselves a little bit better. I think we could put ourselves out there in a way to say, yeah, we're not victims. We are going to defend who we are. We're not going to get pushed around. And honestly, I think if we show that, maybe our enemies would be like, okay, we're going to back off a little bit. To your point, you stood up for what you believed in. You didn't stand down. You were smart about it. You didn't go head to head with a pro-Palestinian person who wanted to take you in a back alley and beat the crap out of you, but you could still stand up for who you are. And that's just my thought as the rabbi, that we need to stand up for who we are. We can't get bullied. We can't get pushed around anymore.
No. It's also the mentality. I don't know where your Jewish background is. I'm a Russian Jew, right? That's my background. Russian Jews.
I married a Russian Jew.
Yeah. So I'm sure we don't.
I sleep with two eyes open.
Exactly. Like we don't screw around.
It's cold as ice up there.
We really don't screw around. We're kind of similar to the Persian Jewish mentality as well. They also know you don't mess with Persian Jews. It's not the New York, old Jewish, they've been here for 4 generations. They've gotten comfortable. See, these Jews are the ones that don't necessarily, no offense to my New York Jews. I love you guys so much. My cousins are New York Jews. But here's the thing. A lot of them have gotten very comfortable with their lifestyle. And now look what happened in New York. They have freaking Mayor Mamdani that they have to deal with, right?
Yamach Shemo. Erase the name, but I don't want to speak so badly. But I mean, this is not a political show. But it's sad that 25% of Jews voted for him, and he's blatantly outright against Jewish people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
And if you can't see it, there's something wrong with you. Go to my great grandmother. My hero was a partisan, killed Nazis with a machine gun. Her last year in med school was when the war started. She was sent to the Minsk ghetto, escaped the Minsk ghetto, joined the partisans, fought with the partisans for years till the end of the war. She has medals and everything from the Soviet Union when they finally awarded medals to the partisans. She was 17 when the war started. This was not a woman who was going to cower. She literally took up a gun and fought. They blew up train tracks. They camped in the swamps while the Nazis encircled them. That is my hero. That's who I think of. That's who I want to be like. I'm not going to be like someone who's just going to sit back and be quiet.
In summation, to close this incredible conversation that we had, what would be something that you would want to leave our audience? Words of wisdom, something that you've learned, something that you would like to pass on to your generation?
You touched on this, Rabbi, right in the beginning. It's the difference between bravery and courage. Bravery means you're not experiencing fear. You're going in guns blazing because you don't experience fear. Most people do experience fear, and that's fine. I've experienced fear many times. I've talked about it today. Courage is, despite experiencing fear, you are still going out and doing what you want to accomplish. Be courageous. Yes, you're scared. Still be that voice and show other people that despite being scared and fearful, we still know how to stand up for ourselves.
Eli Tivis, it's a pleasure having you on Show and Teller. I wish you only blessing. I wish you clarity. I wish you courage. I wish you to stay true to who you are and continue to be a light unto the nations and show the community what it is to be proud of who you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Appreciate it.